Welcome to the What It Takes podcast, where we talk to successful entrepreneurs, leaders, and CEOs across different industries. I'm your host, Darren, and in each episode, we're going to figure out how they got through difficult times, but most importantly, what it really takes to succeed. So whether you're just starting out your career or you're looking to level up your business game, my goal is to give you real insights and practical lessons from people who have achieved what you want. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the What It Takes podcast. I'm joined today by Roxana, who is currently the CEO of TreeToTextile. This is a company that is currently developing quite revolutionary cellulose fibers to replace cotton to reduce the carbon footprint in the textile industry. So it's really cool. I'm very excited to talk to you about this, how you got to this position. But first of all, a huge welcome to you.
Thank you, Darren. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. It's incredible to have you here, Roxana. And for the audience, explain a little bit more about what is it that you do today?
Right. So I'm the CEO of the company, TreeToTextile. TreeToTextile is a purpose-driven company. We develop the next generation cellulose fibers. And what does it mean, next generation cellulose fibers? That means fibers with the lowest climate impact possible. We are committed to drive sustainability on a global scale and also to setting new standards. Our vision is better fibers to all.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at, yes, go ahead.
For people that are not aware of, I think everyone has heard of cotton, right? Cotton, right. It's in our clothes, it comes from the little plant. Could you explain a little bit more about what is cellulose fibers? How is it developed? Where does it come from? Do we use it today already? What is an example that you can give us there?
Right. So if we look at the fiber, our fiber, we think it's a great product for the market. And why is that? There are three dimensions that we create value. The first dimension is sustainability. The second is really the technical properties of the fiber. And then the third is really the cost efficiency. Because as I said, our vision is better fibers to all. So our fiber is a fiber for the many and not for the few. Our fiber is a man-made. Cotton is a natural fiber. But what's unique about our fiber is that really it has the cotton-like hand fill. That's unique. Okay. And that is the reason we can replace cotton. We can replace also viscose and polyester fibers as well. But we think our fiber is a perfect cotton replacement because of the cotton-like hand fill, and this is unique. However, if we look at how we create value, it is very important to stress that are these all three dimensions that are really, really important. So the first one is sustainability, is the reason why the company has been founded. The second one is really the unique properties of the fiber. And the third is the cost efficiency. So the production process is a wet process. It uses chemicals.
A wet process?
It uses chemicals, it uses water, but it has been designed to minimize its climate impact. And that is very important for new products. These new products need to be designed from the start to have a lowest environmental footprint possible. This is really key. So we are using less chemicals, less water, less energy. And if we compare our fiber with the sustainable, with the conventional fibers that are available on the market, we cut emissions by 70 to 90%. So comparing to the conventional cotton, comparing to the conventional viscose and polyester. So that is revolutionary, I would say. Even if we compare to recycled polyester, we cut emissions by 50%. So this is very important to keep in mind. Sustainability is really at the core of our business, and this is really a strong dimension where we create value. The second one, every great product needs to create value and bring value to the market as well. So it needs to be a great product, and we think it's a great product for the market. because of attractive properties. So it has properties between cotton, between viscose. It can replace both. So it has the natural dry hand feel of cotton, but also the drapeability of viscose. And also textiles produced with our fiber have lower pilling, so higher pilling resistance. That means that the textiles are more durable. And also higher and stronger dyeing uptake, which is very important because we like to have colored textiles, right? And the dyeing step in the value chain has also a certain environmental footprint. And textiles produced with our fiber, they have a higher dyeing absorption.
Yes.
Color uptake. So the stronger
Right.
color uptake is extremely important, and combined with the pilling resistance, with the superior pilling resistance, that makes really the environmental footprint in the value chain also much lower. So it's not only the environmental footprint of the fiber, but also how the fiber is used, is processed in the value chain. So it's not only until the gate, but we have to look at the value chain and at the environmental footprint of the products made with the fiber in the value chain. And the third, as I said, is the cost efficiency. Because as I mentioned before, the process was designed to minimize its environmental impact. That means also it's cost efficient. The less resources you use for your product, the cost efficiency is high, right?
Makes sense.
And that is very important for us because, as I said, our vision is better fibers to all. So the fiber is the product, will be a great product, is a great product for the many and not for the few. So it will be a continuous effort for us to decrease the cost structure of the product, and to achieve cost efficiencies through scaling, for example, is very much related to the business model.
Incredible, yeah.
But it's important to have the cost efficiency as well, really, really in front of our eyes, because it's important to drive the impact that we would like to drive and fulfill our.
Well, it makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, if it's too expensive, then it's not going to be available to a lot of people. It's going to be more of a premium product that is only for, like you said, the few, right? And if you want to get people to buy this and use this also for B2B companies, it needs to be at a lower cost and make sense for them to purchase. And then, of course, you got the economy side of it and the sustainability side of it pieced together very well. You're very passionate about this, Roxana.
Right.
I'm curious, where did this passion come from? Have you always been this interested in because this is a little bit chemistry, the sustainability, right? It kind of weaves in here. Has this been a passion for you for a while? Where did this, what was your early life like when it comes to this?
Right. I think the passion is with me since I was very little.
From a young age.
When I was in the school, I developed a passion for chemistry. I wanted to understand how what life is made of. And that brought me, of course, to the natural sciences and especially chemistry. And I was very fortunate that my female chemistry professor back then saw the passion in me, saw that I was hungry for more. And she took on me, and I think she saw the need to develop, and we worked very well together. So she was like a mentor back then in the high school. So that was really great to have this kind of mentors, even in the high school. So she saw the passion, she saw the spark in me. I was very much driven, even back then in the high schools. I was part of competitions and chemistry competitions, but always I wanted to know more. So we were actually spending some time outside the classroom hours. So that was great. I'm really grateful to her. Unfortunately, she has passed away, but she had really a very important impact on me in high school. And I mean, the inspiration and everything she has done for me stays with me even today. Yeah.
It's incredible. That's incredible. So you had this passion in high school, which was chemistry. After high school, what did you do then? Did you go and keep studying chemistry? Did you transition to something new? How did that journey look like for you?
Right. I mean, as I said, I was quite competitive, but When I reflect today, it was not really, mostly a competition against myself. So I was really competing with myself. I wanted to get better, to get ahead, and to understand a lot. As a child,
Yes.
I was a very curious child, and this curiosity and strive for expanding my horizon stayed really also in the high school and even after that. So of course I wanted to advance in my knowledge in chemistry, and usually you can follow a master after the high school, you can follow a PhD, and I was fortunate to look abroad, and have collaborations with universities abroad. And I was part of this Erasmus exchange program. So I was fortunate to get a seat. And I had to choose between France and Germany. And for some reason, I chose Germany because I was fascinated by German language. I didn't know I had German in high school, but it sounded so sophisticated and so complex. And I wanted to know more
Yeah.
about Germany and about German people, and in general how the textile industry, but also the chemical industry in general, was very very strong in Germany, and still is. So I chose in the end, well, let's go to Germany and pursue my PhD
Mm.
in Germany.
Mm.
Back then, I was like, I wanted to conquer the world, and I had very supportive parents. I have very supportive parents. They supported me in everything what I wanted to accomplish and to do. So yes, I left the country for that reason, really to develop and to expand my horizons and advance in the space of the chemistry. So I started my PhD in organic chemistry.
Mm.
And I know I mentioned my mentor in the high school, and I was fortunate to have really a doctor of father, where doctoral advisor is the doctor Vater in German, a
Yes.
doctoral advisor in Germany.
Mm.
And he was a mentor to me as well.
Mm.
So I have a story that I would like to tell about that period.
Please do.
So because that story stays with me even today. So I did my PhD 25 years ago, and I was on a campus, and the laboratory was my playground. If you ask any PhD student, you need to have a place to experiment and to advance your topic of research. So I was on campus, and practically every day there was a collaboration with the industry and especially in the cosmetics, but this is not important right now. Important
Mm.
is the relationship with my doctoral advisor. So he had this habit to come unannounced from time to time, late at night, and quietly popping in his head into the labs to see who is still there late at night.
Mm.
And for some reason, I was there every time when he came unannounced. I didn't understand why, and then I found out from my colleagues that this is his habit to come unannounced, and because he knows that if you put enough effort and time, you will solve any problem.
Mm.
And later, I also found out that he has said that if Roxana cannot do this, nobody can do it. And that was so powerful. And those words really, really had a transformative impact on me. And they stay even today with me.
That's
And because
amazing.
of this
Yes.
and other experiences, really the confidence in me is unshakable, remains unshakable even today. So I come in hindsight, I came to realize that it's so important to give that kind of unconditional encouragement to, especially when people need it. And
Mm.
also in my position as CEO, I come to the realization that even the most seasoned people, even the most senior people need encouragement, need to be
Mm.
lifted, and need to be motivated. So that is really at the core how I lead.
Yes.
Um, in the company we have introduced the Employee of the Year award in the winter 2023, and of course we celebrate the employees that go the extra mile, exceptional efforts, and live every day by the core values of the company. which are meaningful, bold, and collaborative. And this is not a top-down process. So, any employee can nominate everyone in the organization. And to my surprise, last winter, I was also nominated. And this is not really an award for me, but I was so humbled by these nominations. And I cherish all the motivations for the nominations, but one really made my day. It was that I nominate Roxana because she leads always with a positive attitude and always convey that everything is possible, even when it feels extremely difficult. So you cannot imagine, this is really heart melting for me. And it shows that it's a great reward for me. So yeah.
That's incredible. It really sounds like you, because I wanted to dive a little bit into that as well, which is the role of mentors throughout your life and the impact that they have had on your progress, on your confidence, and really how much of an impact do you think they have had on where you are today? If it weren't for those two mentors, role models that you've had in high school, but also while you were studying your PhD, do you think that you would be where you are today if it weren't for them?
No.
Yes.
No, I think it's, clearly you have to have your passions and your interests, and clearly this is like intrinsic to you. Of course, you can be influenced, where you can have new perspectives from your network and from your mentors and so on and so forth. But I would say, because it was so early in my career and in my really personal and professional development, I think especially in those stages, really, really important to have mentors with you. Of course, it's up to you in the end to absorb all the advices and all the perspectives, but clearly you need that kind of network to give you the broader perspective as well, and to help you to take the right decisions that are right for you. But I do think they had an important influence on me. Probably I would have decided to move forward with the chemistry as well. But that kind of confidence boost and that kind of supporting a network, which is so critical, as I said, especially when you are a teenager and very early in your career, is really key.
And did you seek them out, or was it more by accident that they happened to stumble on in your life? And I ask this because I think there are a lot of young people out there that might consider, I need a mentor. I need someone I can, trust with, and I want someone who can guide me. So is it more like, do they search for it, or do they accidentally stumble upon
Right,
them when they
right.
work in the area? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think you can force a mentorship relationship, because that's also, the difference between coaching and mentoring. Coaching is something more formal. You have certain targets and, of course, certain working relationship. I think mentorship is on a different level. It needs to click on different levels, mental one, emotional, and also on the value level as well. So I haven't really, I think it was a combination of me being really open and hungry to put myself out there, and be open to actually to let other people in. That is important, because the other party should sense that, yeah, it's someone that I can work with. But it was also a combination from the other party, in the sense that, okay, you have to surround yourself by people that are bright-minded and also are willing to collaborate and willing to learn from these collaborations or these relationships as well. So I would say it's a combination, because you cannot force, especially a mentorship relationship. But of course, you have to be keen to have that kind of exposure, to also convey that you are open to collaborate and have that kind of learning and building relationship, and surround yourself by people that can inspire you and that can have certain experiences and also resonate with you, especially I would say on the value level. So your core values should resonate with the ones of your mentors or your close advisors.
Wouldn't that be the most important, the values, that they align?
I do think that the values are, because it starts with everything starts with values. In my view, you have certain values, they will influence your behaviors,
Yes.
and they will influence how you build your life, how
Right.
you take decisions. So definitely values are key, I would say.
Yes.
And Yeah, I think the values have a very strong influence on how you build your life.
Yes, yes. I can imagine. I mean, if your one of your values is, you have a strong work ethos, right? You put in the hours and you do this, you don't do minimal effort work. It's always you give your fullest. If you then meet a mentor who is the opposite of that, who does give his fullest, how is that going to look like, right? But I think it's easier to have a mentor when you match, like you said, where you match on the
Yeah.
value side, right? But moving ahead though, Roxana, because obviously you then had your PhD, organic chemistry, was it?
Yes, and this is very important because I had to choose between inorganic, physical chemistry, and organic chemistry. And I have to say that some of my other professors were really upset that I chose organic chemistry. But as I said, I wanted to
Why?
understand well because they wanted to have me on their teams, in their teams.
Well, you were an A player. They were fighting for you, huh?
Yeah, I guess
Pretty
so.
much. It sounds like it.
I guess so. But organic chemistry was my passion and my first love.
Oh, yeah. Well, it makes sense. And then once you did your PhD, did you then go straight into work, or how did that look like?
Right, yes. So I finished my PhD at the Technical University of Braunschweig in Germany. And Then of course, I wanted to start my career, of course, in Germany. As I said, the chemical industry back then and also now, I think it's pretty strong. Of course, the economic context is changing nowadays, but back
Mm,
then that was pretty much the path. So PhD, then you move into the chemical industry.
mm,
So I have to say I had only one interview, and then I was offered the next day the job.
mm.
In hindsight, did I take the right decision? I think so. It was a great job, and I started with Dyster Group. It's leader in sustainable dyes and auxiliaries in the textile industry. That when I started, my job was to find new markets and new applications for the existing products. So yeah, it's I started my career in Frankfurt am Main in Industrial Park Höchst, which was
Mhm.
very popular back then. And when I started, I was, well, the only female in that department and pretty young, I have to say, by the standards in Germany, and also a foreigner, though my German was it was excellent, I would say. So, but
Your
it was,
Dutch was sehr gut, huh?
so it was a very interesting experience. I have to say, I was again fortunate to have a good manager. He believed in me, and I liked the brainstorming sessions that I had with him,
Okay.
um, and um, and great colleagues. So what
Mm.
I liked is that I was very much appreciated. It was extremely a culture which was founded by on respect between
Mm.
the colleagues, and most of my colleagues had PhD as well. But I also had the chance to work with blue collars, and that was extremely important for me because I wanted to bring, the also all the employees, to bring the passion and to bring the engagement
Yes.
into the business
Mm.
as well. So yeah, it was, and I felt that the competence was really the real currency. So it was
Mm.
tough in the sense that, yeah, as I said, really the only female leader in the department, and quite pretty young, you fight with some credibility issues at the beginning. However, in the end, I think the competence was really the real currency. So I was offered in the end the opportunity to move to Asia Pacific, to Singapore, and lead the new research center for the company, which was great.
Oh, wow.
It was
Yeah.
like 2 levels up on the career path. So it was a great opportunity. It was Asia Pacific, something new to me as European, but definitely sounded exciting. The task was to build everything from scratch. So we had a lot of customers, of course, in Asia Pacific and production facilities, but innovation was not really present there. So I took on the challenge. Even then, a bit of an entrepreneur within a corporate. And I
Yes.
had the fortunate to be there and build the team and all the relationships with the government and so on and so forth.
And before we move on, though, I want to ask a little bit about your vision at this point, right? Because you went out of high school, you had this passion for chemistry, did your PhD, and you got this job, which was also in the textile industry, which you're now, you're CEO of a company that works in, obviously you're developing cellulose fibers for the textile industry. Did you ever have a goal of, I want to work in the textile? Did you have a vision of, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm going to achieve? Was there something driving you?
It was not planned. It was not planned. Maybe in this particular case, it was a matter of circumstances. When I had the interview with Deister Group, for me, it was important to be a very reputable company. So Deister was founded. I mean, all the textile product departments from BASF, Bayer, Herx, and so on, they were put together and formed this fantastic company. So for me, it was more important to be a very credible company, to have extremely competent colleagues and managers, and the company should be a leader in the sector. So yeah.
You had the criteria, but did you have a goal?
I haven't had a goal to go into the textile industry, no. But I wanted to have a huge impact wherever I go.
So this was sort of the thing that was driving you. You wanted to have a huge impact. Where can I have this? And that's what led you to this company.
Yeah. And what I liked is that, the role needs to be extremely exciting.
Yes.
And that is also the advice that I would give. I mean, never take on a role that is not really 100% fit for you, because it will backfire. So I felt that it was the perfect role for me. So the task to find new applications, new markets for the existing products felt fantastic, because in the first 5 years with the company, I was not really active in the textile industry, because the products were for the textile industry, but we wanted to find new applications. So I worked more or less with fast moving consumer goods companies, and that were the space where we wanted to be and have customers. So it was completely different. But then when we moved to Asia Pacific, the textile industry was the core. So now I wanted to have a huge impact and bring new products. So innovation and sustainability was also back then a really important topic for the company, for the Deister Group. It was really at the forefront of leading sustainability related initiatives. So huge impact, which I felt I was on the right path in Frankfurt am Main. But then after I moved for Asia Pacific, I felt that I was in a position to drive even more impact, and that was very fulfilling for me.
So it was really the thing that drove you, because I think a lot of the times, people who are looking to do more, who want to be better, who want to succeed, very often they lack that one thing, which is the why, right? The passion, what drives someone. For you, it was to have this huge impact, and that manifested, of course, through the work, and you took on challenges. How much time did you give to making a big impact? And that could be hours invested in work, time thought about it outside of work. How much time did you invest in wanting to create a big impact, particularly in your field, of course?
I think you create really real impact requires a lot of effort, and it cannot be impact in a silo. So I always took a broader perspective. So I always had a myriad of stakeholders in my mind. So for sure, I mean, the first enabler is your team. As a leader, you really have to be able to. You need to be a strong team builder, because I mean, a lot of impact is driven through your team, and then the teams of the members in your most senior team. So that is it's a key. It is a focus really to build a strong team, because that is one of the channels that you can drive a lot of impact, and not
Yes.
only for business but also for the development of the people in general. So that is one, let's say, one area. The second one, of course, is in general, all the other. If I speak about corporations, it's important to think as an enterprise leader. So that means it's not only you drive impact in your area, but I mean, you have to collaborate with the other leaders, and you have to drive this kind of impact in the whole organization. So it is the internal stakeholders that are extremely important, because you can drive a lot of impact, and mostly it's through influence, but also through collaboration.
Yes.
I would say another area is really the external stakeholders, which especially in my role as a CEO are very important and are very diversified and extremely sophisticated. It of course comes from the shareholders. I wouldn't say those are external, but it's the board of directors, the shareholders, but also any other stakeholders in the industry as well. Driving impact sounds easy, but it's not, because driving real impact, it requires efforts and thinking, and I would say a more integrated approach. If you are not aware of that, I think it's very difficult to drive real impact. I mean, of course, every improvement and every progress is really important, every step. But when I'm speaking about real impact, like what we aim to do also at TreeToTextile as an important fiber producer, I think it's important to have this integrated approach. So it's key. It's key. And that is the reason also it's so, if I may, is so it's so complex and so difficult. If I go back to the textile industry, what you asked at the beginning, if I look at the European textile industry, so there is a target to have net zero emissions by 2050, and the different initiatives, including the European Green Deal.
Yes.
And of course, there are different initiatives needed, like halving emissions by every decade, also transitioning to renewable energy. But what I would stress also, really adopting more sustainable and circular products and business models. And if I look at the sustainable materials, I mean, if you look at the value chain and the emissions of the whole value chain of the fashion and the textile industry, nearly 40% of those emissions are coming from the material production.
Oh, wow.
And you asked about the cotton. Of course, cotton is one. So the textile fiber market is large. So we are talking about up to 140 million tons of fiber in the next years. The synthetic fibers, polyester, polyamide, and so on, those have the largest share, and we see sustainability initiatives in that part. Cotton is about between 22%, and still growing, slowly growing. And then we have the man-made cellulose fibers. So cellulose fibers, but are not made by men. So it's through chemical and some other mechanical processes. So it's important to keep that in mind, that 40% of the emissions in the value chain come from the material production. So we have to do something about it. And that's the reason we think we can do a lot through our fiber and the TreeToTextile. And if you
Well,
ask,
let's
yes.
let's go from how did you end up at TreeToTextile? Because the last point that we kind of left off was you were relocated to Asia. You kind of climbed that
Right.
ladder, right?
Yeah.
How did the journey look like from there to then getting into
Right.
TreeToTextile?
Yes. So when I was based in Singapore and with Eister Group, and I took on executive MBA, which
Mm.
in hindsight was, I have to say, one of my best decisions. This staying hungry for expanding your horizons and understand more how a business is working. That was a key driver for me even back then. This is strange, but came now to my mind that I talked to some recruiters back then and in my network, and someone told me, are in innovation very much, but you could be in sales because
Yeah,
you
yeah.
are so good at articulating the value of your product, and that said for me. So I said, why not exploring a bit more? And I took on this executive MBA, which was a dual MBA between UCLA, Anderson School of Management in the US, and National University of Singapore Business School. And
Mm.
that was really an extremely enriching experience for me.
Yeah.
Expanded my horizon and also my network. And usually after, like you finalize this kind of experiences, they are good, well, overly good, but it's really puts you to go through a more self-examination
Mm.
journey to say, is it something that, I mean, are you happy with your professional life? Do you want to do something else? So yeah, I wanted to do something more on the business side. So I
Mm.
was actually, if I go to Stora Enso, which was my next company, I was recruited for that position. It was in Stockholm in Sweden. It was a forest industry. I didn't know anything about Stora Enso, even the Nordic countries. I have never been in Stockholm or Sweden, and not so much about the forest industry. And I had a few discussions, and it stuck with me that the values of the company are lead and do what's right. And I said, that's me. That's definitely me.
Mm.
And I like the colleagues and I like the role. So I said, why not? I would like to take on this opportunity. So hence I started my journey at Stora Enso in Stockholm, and I stayed with the company, I think, 7 years in different positions, mostly in the commercialization of new products and new biomaterials, and was leading the business unit for textile
Mm.
products. So this is how actually came to my table the opportunity to join TreeToTextile.
Mm.
So the company was founded in 2014 by IKEA, H&M, and Lars Dixon unfortunately has passed away, but he is the inventor of the process. And the founders were looking for another partner that has experience in scaling up industrial projects.
Mm.
So we thought back then at Stora Enso that this is a fantastic opportunity for Stora Enso. So I was driving all the discussions for Stora Enso to join us as a new shareholder. So I
Mm.
was also in the board of directors in the company, and since June 2013, I joined as the CEO of the company. So I have a long
Incredible.
history with the company, so since
Yeah.
2019, I think, but mostly through the board of
Yeah.
directors, and now, of course, a few years as CEO.
Yeah. And you mentioned that IKEA and H&M were part of the founding team of TreeToTextile. And then who was a lot, because I think a lot of people have heard of those companies. And then you mentioned
Lars
per
Stixon. Yeah, Lars Stixon is a Swedish serial entrepreneur.
Lars Dixon.
Unfortunately, he has passed away. But he is the inventor
And he
of the
was the
process. A brilliant mind. I am
incredible,
missing him even
yes.
today. All the brainstorming sessions that we had.
Yeah. Those are
And
memorable.
yeah, yes,
Yeah.
for sure. This kind of people you just don't forget because they bring so much energy to the table and so much inspiration and excitement. You just cannot forget them.
Hmm. That's incredible. Now that you are the CEO of TreeToTextile, you mentioned earlier in our conversation that in the first company that you started, you faced a little bit of resistance because you were a woman, right? What challenges have you faced as a consequence of just being a woman in a leadership position? Has that been a challenge for you in TreeToTextile, or has it been fairly smooth?
Right. Yeah. I mean, if I think about my challenges, and I have to say, uh, yeah, across my life in the corporate world, clearly there were challenges which were related a bit with being a female leader. And if I have to say, maybe it really comes down to delayed promotions. Many things have changed, maybe too slowly, and I hope they will change even faster moving forward. But I always had this principle that if you put in the time and have great results and always deliver and perform
Hmm.
according to what is expected from you, but also to according to your own expectations, for me, it's extremely important to be happy myself with my
Yes.
performance. I saw that, promotions, they will be natural. They will come without saying. So they will be a natural, they will occur in a natural way.
Yes.
It's not like that, especially in big corporations. It's extremely sophisticated and many networks and so on and so forth. And of course, you need to have the great sponsors, which I did. So in the end, it has happened. But I would say my biggest challenge really, really was delayed promotions. At
Hmm.
least according to my own expectations, I wanted to be promoted to that role much faster than actually it has happened. So, but I learned that you have to play the long game. You have to put yourself much more often, give exposure to yourself, talk a bit more about your own achievements. Even if you think that those achievements are obvious, why should I talk about those? I mean, everyone should see those achievements. Doesn't really work like that. So it's always important to shed some light on those and talk about those in a humble way, but talk
Yes.
always, communicate about your achievements, about your desires and goals, and also make sure that you are very intentional about your personal development. So that
Mm.
I also came to realize that you have to, also in big corporations, but also in small companies, it pays off to really have a structure around your personal development and communicate, and shed more light on your achievements and network a bit more, especially a decade ago. Of course, I networked, but I think it's important to network even more. Nowadays, with the virtual possibilities and so on, I think you have a myriad of ways to do it
Yes.
and reach out, to peers in your industry, but also outside your industries. In my current role, I have a kitchen cabinet, what I call how I call it, because it's important to have that kind of trusted a small circle of advisors. But yeah, so and I'm not sure. Of course, I read about it that maybe this is a bit more typical for female leaders than for male leaders, that you expect that the work will speak for itself. But yes, that will do, but you have to strengthen it and you have to
Yes.
be a bit more intentional
Yes.
about about your wishes and about your desires, and don't be
What you
afraid
want.
to actually articulate those wishes. Because I was also asked, like in a few years down the road, what would be your role that you would like to have? And then there was 5 years ago, and I said I would like to be a CEO, and it could be frightening especially for your managers. But I do think that it's important to articulate what
Yes.
I mean, yeah, what are your wishes?
I
Because
think
if
I
you
think
don't, then
I think these are great lessons for any woman wanting to achieve something more in the business world, right? Because one of the things that you're saying here is you can't just do the good work. You also have to sort of talk a little bit more about it, be more intentional, right? I just did a great piece of work. Hey, listen, I just did this great thing here. I would like a little, this new opportunity or this, just essentially be more vocal about what it is that you do and not expect it, but just try and what is the phrase? Grab it by the balls? Is that what they say? Right?
yeah, that could be, that could be, and maybe it's also a personality thing, but it's also, I hope that there will be more female leaders that are, stepping up and talk a bit more about their journeys, because this is extremely important to have that kind of exposure and to have that kind of experiences. Because if we don't talk about it, and sometimes I feel that it's a topic that maybe some of the peoples are not comfortable with. I'm actually very comfortable to talk about it because it's for a good cause. And
Mm,
in my CEO role, it's not about females or males, but it's about extremely good leaders. But of course, I have the privilege to see some patterns. And then
mm,
I think it's also in my responsibility to act on these observations and see,
yes.
okay, I mean, these are areas where I think, these leaders could improve because I see these patterns, which I have seen those patterns myself during my journey.
What kind of patterns are these?
Sorry?
What patterns do you see?
Exactly, this kind of patterns that you don't talk about your achievements, you are not so
Mm,
vocal in the meetings. You think that maybe your development plans should be with your manager, but not necessarily with you. So practically, yeah, expecting that everything will be fine and it will
and
work how you
yes,
expect, but you have to be intentional about it for sure.
yes. And
And
this
this is also,
pattern,
yeah,
yeah, this pattern that you're talking about, this is more prevalent in females, in women. Is that what you're saying essentially that you've noticed that they don't
yeah.
they don't speak up too much?
You don't speak up too much. And, I have to say that
Why not?
I think it's also a bit of a ego related. I don't want to make it a gender specific topic, but if I would look like what are the strongest leaders, what are the key ingredients for a leader to actually say that, okay, I am a strong leader, I'm a natural leader. I think one of the key dimensions is really to manage your ego.
Mm,
So, and I think that perhaps female leaders are much better at managing their egos, but you have to do it with really with confidence.
mm,
And if you speak about your achievements, is not about bragging, but definitely is about shedding light on what you have achieved, on your
yes.
on your learnings as well. What is your thinking? What do you think about it? And how do you want to actually push forward and move forward, for example, the progress in your area? So I think male leaders are a bit more vocal, and but on the other side, sometimes this confident humility, it needs to be managed a bit better on that side with the male
That's
leaders.
very interesting. That's very interesting.
I think
Yes.
it's yes, perhaps it's important to talk about characteristics for strong leaders, and that
Mm,
will be my how I envision the leadership. So if we can agree on what it takes for a leader to be a good leader, irrespective of the gender, and really take those traits, those attributes as really the ones that are really at the core of how we
Yes.
promote, how we appreciate. I think this is really key, and those attributes and those characteristics, I would say, you have to be a strong team builder. So would you do that if you have a strong ego? uh, it's question mark. You need
Yeah.
to communicate. You have to engage with your organization. You have to engage with your stakeholders. If you
Mm.
have a big ego, it's tricky, and you have to speak from your heart as well.
Mm.
But of course,
Mm.
you have to also drive the business results, and that you can do only through your teams. You have to have a vision, and of course, you have to be resilient, have the mental resilience. So it's complex. So I think if we really would align as a society, what are the best attributes, yes, best attributes for leader, that will be the way to move forward, and
Yes.
to select the best leaders, and to also to build on those attributes moving forward to progress.
Mm. Hmm. Incredible. And with your leadership, then, how do you plan on making sure that you can achieve the vision that you have for Tree2Textile? What is your, because you've obviously shared your goal, but how do you plan on achieving that? What are your, the goal for next year, for the next 2, 3 years? What is your focus right now?
Right. Let me start from maybe from the higher perspective. What is the role of TreeToTextile currently and also in the future? If I look at the general for the fashion and the textile industry, I think the industry is on the verge of transformation. There is a major transformation on the horizon, and I see countless opportunities that can be seized
Mm.
because of that, because of the transformation journey. As I said, there are certain targets, especially to achieve net zero emissions, which is key. And on a side note, I think I would like to see more private equity firms and also more financial institutions stepping in as investors into this space because of the
Mm.
countless opportunities that are ahead of us. And
Mm.
also, I would like to see more stronger leadership. That means more decisive and more urgent
Mm.
leadership in the industry. And because of this transformation, I do think that TreeToTextile, which is a purpose-driven organization, can take on a key role, really as an important fiber producer, to push for this transformation, to lead by example, and also to contribute, to continuously contribute to achieve this desired state. This is the role that I see for TreeToTextile. And in order to achieve that, of course, right now we are in the scaling phase.
Mhm.
We do have a demonstration plant in Nimola in Sweden. We are ramping up our productions as well, but we are on a scaling journey. So after the demonstration plant, we are moving to the next industrial plant, which we call the first flagship plant. It will be the commercial plant, and so on and so forth. So we think we have a great product that will solve some of the challenges that the textile industry has. So of course we are planning for additional production sites. It's not only about how do we produce, how do we operate, but also how do we do business, about the business model. So I do think, well, I envision for TreeToTextile, but also for the textile industry in general, an industry where sustainability, and that's key. I cannot repeat enough. Sustainability, innovation, but also a branding that connects with the consumers, like yourself, like myself, on a more transparent and more
Mm.
emotional, I would say even purpose-driven level, to really drive this kind of transformation. And this is so sustainability, innovation, and meaningful branding. And that is my vision of how the textile industry should operate and conduct business. And as I said, TreeToTextile as a fiber producer, I think it can take on a key role to push for this transformation. So as you see, we have big ambitions, and for a reason, we have big ambitions. So it's not easy. If you look at bringing new products and revolutionary technologies, it takes up to 7 to 10 years from idea to commercialization. And many things need to come together. If you ask me, it comes down to three important aspects. So the first one is capital. You have to have the needed capital. So ideally, long-term investors that are also purpose-driven and stay with you for a long time. You need capabilities. And I will go back to that. You need capabilities to execute. That's really key. And then, of course, you need customers. And you need customers, I would say, even customers that behave in a way as a partner to you and they root for your success. Because if you are successful, they will be successful as well.
Yes.
So if you ask me about, it's complex, but execution capabilities, I mean, if you don't, everything needs to be there, capital, capabilities, and customers. So if you don't have one, I think the success will be very dire.
How do you get customers?
Well, it's you get customers by having a great product. So that is you have to have a great product. That's an excellent question, because
the reason I asked is because I recently had another guest, and I think it was even yesterday or 2 days ago, and he was talking about a colleague who was in the startup world who had an amazing product, but there was no sales and marketing, and thus he failed. And so, a lot of the times, if you do have a great product, but you can't get it out there and people don't know about it, then sometimes that can lead to not growing. So I'm curious, for you, how is it in your business? Because it may be different from industry to industry. There may be many variables that necessarily don't overlap. But for you and your business, how do you guys promote? How do you do marketing? How do you do sales? How do you get business?
Yeah, but a great product is, how do you define the value for the market? And that is, I'm a bit puzzled because a product can only be great for customers. So the customers need to love your product in the first place.
But if they've never heard of the product, how can they love something they don't know?
Right. So you yourself think that is a great product, but in the end, the customers need to think that this is a great product. Why? I think it's a fantastic question. I had a similar discussion before about sustainable products, and I think it's if I look at the sustainable materials and sustainable technologies, there are a few challenges, and one of the challenges that, and I'm not sure if that it was about sustainability in your example, but one of the challenges that you don't articulate the value well enough. That's key. You have to articulate the value that you create for the customer. What kind of value is it? And if I zoom in on sustainability, unfortunately, especially when you don't understand the product well enough, you see sustainability as a cost driver, but not really as a value creating product or aspect of the product. So I think you need to be very articulate how the product is creating value for the market, means for the customers. You have to be very articulate and you have to understand yourself. And it cannot be only that it's a halving the carbon emissions. This is key because if you think, especially for the companies, scope 3 emissions are up to 70 to 90% of the emissions of a company. So scope 3 means, emissions coming from your suppliers and customers and so on. So it's key to really articulate how the product is creating is creating value, and quality and cost, it needs to be part of that package. So I think articulation of how the value is created for your customers is extremely important. And then if you do that well, then your customers saying that, no, this is not enough value for me because you are not ticking a few boxes, well, then maybe you don't talk to the right customers, because
Yeah.
so that could be because, of course, it's you need to have customers that root for you, that are open to innovate and partner up. As I said, partnership, and especially at the beginning, in the early stage of a new product, customers need to partner up with you, because the product is not perfect, so you have to develop it continuously, and so on and so forth. So choose your customers, choose the right customers. But it starts with articulation of the value. And sometimes you have to do quite a bit of homework yourself to understand
Into
what's
the
the new
target
value that you
audience.
bring to the market. So, and if a side note, of course, we are fortunate to have IKEA and H&M in particular as shareholders, because the way we work with them, of course, they are shareholders, they hold shares in the company, but they are partners to us, and they are also customers, first customers with offtake agreements for the fiber. So we tap into their knowledge and into their resources. So it's important to partner up with your customers. I cannot stress enough, and understand their goals, but also manage their expectations, because new products are not perfect from the start. The unit cost, you have to reach a certain scale to be cost competitive. So the brands, for example, if I speak about the textile industry, needs to be open to accept like a shorter term cost increase in materials, and put it as an investment on their balance sheets, and also to introduce in a gradual way these new products, especially in the early phase when the cost slash price is a bit on the higher side. So it's a partnership, and they need to root for you. I mean, if I win, you win. So choose your customers right. So if the product is great, then choose your customers, choose the right customers for you. That's crucial, especially in the early stages.
That's a great piece of advice there. I think for anyone who really wants to focus on sales, marketing, and just product value, it's like focus on establishing partnership with the customer, because they are, after all, the ones who are going to purchase your product, right?
Right.
So yes. So final question for you, Roxana. We're catching up on time here. I want to ask you one final question here. What does it take?
Okay, many things are important to succeed. First of all, of course, you have to be very honest with yourself. What does it mean success for you? So that's, of course, the first step. There are many dimensions, on a personal but also on a professional level. Let me mention maybe 3 things. The first thing is that understand the opportunities for you as a professional, and understand the opportunities for your business. If you are an entrepreneur or a leader in any corporation, you need to understand extremely well the opportunities, and aim high. Aim high. Aim high. And don't ever lower your goals. Don't ever lower your goals, not because maybe others are not comfortable with your goals. So aim high. Don't compromise your vision. Don't lower your goals. And once you have that kind of vision that is really, really dear to your heart, make sure that you prepare for the long and the bumpy road ahead. It is a bumpy road for you as a professional, but also for your business. If you lead a business, there will be many challenges ahead, and you have to have that kind of resilience and passion and commitment that I would say it comes from within. Make sure that you have a strong team, that you can execute, that you have that kind of kitchen cabinet to help you and advise you, encourage you, but also challenge you, brings new perspective to the table, and keeps you honest. so to say. So make sure that you can execute on what you want to achieve.
Love that. Yeah.
Make that kind of homework because it's complex, but it's very rewarding in the end. The third, I would say, it's a more personal. I think it's important to stay happy, and also to stay hungry for getting ahead. At least for me, it was so important to make sure that I evolve and progress every day. So stay hungry for getting ahead by whatever means, I mean, by learning a book, have trainings, exchange with your people, exchange with your network, stay ahead.
Yes.
Try,
Yes.
try to stay on the faster lane.
Yeah.
If you do that, you have to know yourself very well, because you have to understand what gives you an edge and then keep building on that edge. So for me, it was really important to stay ahead because that gives me fulfillment and that made me happy. So
Yeah.
find out what makes you happy and really build on that. So that would be my
That's amazing advice. Thank you so much. Roxana, I really had a pleasure talking to you today. It was fascinating to hear about your journey, your passion, and how that drove you to now become the CEO of TreeToTextile. It's amazing what you do, and I'm looking forward to seeing cellulose fiber materials in the shop soon. It's exciting to follow your journey. And again, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you. It was my pleasure, and thank you for great questions as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.